Hi, and welcome to Inbound Explain. My name is Shannon, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about HubSpot's Marketing Hub platform. Here at CyberClick, we use the Marketing Hub tool every single day for all of our inbound marketing campaigns and activities. So in this video, I'm going to show you how we use each tool, as well as how you can use it for your own brand, and some tips and tricks on the best ways to use the different tools and activities that you can find within the platform. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive on in. So when you first enter HubSpot, the first thing you're going to see is this marketing dashboard. You can actually customize this to show whatever you want to show all the data and information that's most interesting to you and most relevant for the type of campaign you're doing. But what we're actually going to be talking about today is this tab right here, the marketing tab. And we're just going to run through what all these different tabs mean, the different tools located in these tabs, and how you can use them. So I'll quickly explain what some of these tabs are. So let's start with ads. So within the ads tab of the Marketing Hub, you can actually connect your own Google ads, Facebook ads, whatever paid ads that you're doing. You can go ahead and connect them to your HubSpot account. This allows you to get a high-level view of the different activities that are going on within your ads campaign. It also allows you to re-engage with existing contacts who have engaged with your ads, and you can actually see if your contacts are engaging with your ads. Now, moving on to email, this is a huge tool within the platform and something we're going to take a little bit of time on talking about. So this is actually a tool that we use every single day at CyberClick, and you can actually do a lot with this tool within HubSpot. So when you first enter in the email tab, the first thing you're going to see is all of the emails that you have set up. So as you can see, there's some dots associated with each email. These dots will signify different things. So the green ones mean that they've been sent. Yellow dots mean that you have scheduled an email, so you've already built it out and you've scheduled it to be sent. The gray dots are drafts, so you're probably still working on it. And also there's another color that you don't see on this screen here, but it does exist, and it will be a purple dot. And this means that this is an email that you have set up, and it's actually already being sent out to your contacts. It's just in the process of doing so. So it's not quite fully sent, but it's not quite scheduled because it's already being actively sent to your leads or clients. So it's kind of a limbo color, if you will. But that's what you're going to see when you come into the email platform or to the email tab. So you get a high level view of all the different emails you've sent. You can also come over here to this area where it says Analyze, and this is a newer feature within the Marketing Hub platform. We're using CyberClick's test account, so none of our numbers will be accurate, but for the sake of this video, just imagine that we have some real numbers here, as it will look within your own account. But this is a really cool tool because it can show you the different numbers of your email campaigns, how your campaigns are going, the bounce rate, the click rate, and it'll also give you a chart that will show all this data as well. The really great thing about this tool is you can actually filter all of this information. So if you're running a certain campaign, you can filter the information by the campaign. If you want to check the data on how your emails have been doing during a certain date range, you can also check that here. And you can also filter this by email type. So this is a really good way to get a high level view, or actually a more in-depth view of what's going on during your campaigns. So another really important tool within the platform, probably the most important one within this section, is the Create Email tab. So you're going to find that in the right-hand corner, this orange button. You're going to click this, and HubSpot is going to give you 3 different types of emails that you can create. So you can create a regular email that you want to go ahead and send out to a segment of leads or customers that you already have. You also have your automated emails. So these are emails that are sent out to a segment of your contacts depending on certain workflows or certain triggers that they have completed. And then the last type of email is your blog or RSS emails. So these are emails that will send out content pieces based on when you update your own content. So we're going to go ahead and we're actually going to talk about the automated email. The process is really similar for all 3 of these emails. They just more so have different trigger criteria for being sent. But perhaps the most important for inbound marketing would be the automated email feature, because marketing automation is such a huge part of inbound marketing. So let's go ahead and dive into that one. So if you already have created your custom templates based on the design of your website, you will go ahead and see those in this tab over here. If you haven't done that yet, no worries. HubSpot will actually provide you with a bunch of free templates that you can use. And you can also buy templates from HubSpot's marketplace. So you have a lot of options when it comes to that. We're just going to go ahead and go simple with a quick welcome email so we can show you what the email editor looks like once you're actually inside of the platform. So once you're inside the platform, HubSpot gives you a bunch of different options on how you can lay out your email and how you can design your email. It's super intuitive. If you've ever used any sort of marketing platform before, I think you'll be able to quickly get adjusted to using HubSpot. Some key features here is you can add images. All you have to do is just drag it and drop it into your layout here, and HubSpot will do the rest. You can select an image and add it there. You can add different bodies of text. If you want to delete text that's already on the template, you can do so by just clicking up here. You can add a button, which is super important when we start talking about CTAs. So you can create a button to encourage people that open up the email to go on to a different section, to go back to your website. Perhaps you want to lead them to your YouTube channel. You can add that button within your email, and it's super easy to do. You can customize it right here. You can have a divider so that you can divide the space within your email. This is just good for design purposes and laying out everything nice and clean. You can also add a button to get you to your social, and there's some more in-depth options too. So once you're in here, you can configure a bunch of different settings for how the email will be sent and what it's going to look like. So you can choose the name of the sender. You can choose where the address is coming from, the subject line of the email, which is super important. You can also add emojis. The preview text. So this will be the text that they see before they click on the email within their inbox. And then this is some more internal information specific to HubSpot. So you can give your email a name. So we can do HubSpot tutorial. You can give it a subscription type. So this will depend on the specific settings you have. You can assign this email to a campaign, which is super important. And I always recommend having a specific campaign for all of the different activities you're going to do within HubSpot. We'll get deeper into the campaign section of the tool, but this is a super important area, and you always want to link one of your activities to a campaign. So we'll just click test here. You can also choose language. So here at CyberClick, we're located in Spain, but we do campaigns for all over the world. So as you can see here, our test account is linked to Spanish, but if you also do international campaigns, you can change the language to be specific for whatever language content you're creating. So you also here have the option to do A/B testing. This is a pretty cool tool, but it's pretty in-depth, and it's something that we could make a whole video on its own for. So we'll dive into that in a different video, but just know that that's an option that you have here. So before you send the email, you have a few other options here. You can choose whether or not you want to send to unengaged contacts. So HubSpot outlines what they consider an unengaged contact, and you can choose if you want to do that there. So you can go ahead and review all the different aspects of your email. So this is an automated email. It's coming from Shannon. It will be sent from this address. This is the subject line, this is the preview text, and then we can save this for automation. So great, so you've saved your first email. So this email will be very useful for your workflows, which we'll get into workflows a little bit later in this video, but that's how you do it. Let's go ahead and jump into the other important tool within the Marketing Hub platform. So after email, we have social. Social is similar to ads in that you can link all of your social media accounts into HubSpot so that you can get another high-level view of your social media activity. Again, this is our test account, so we don't have our social linked up in our test account, but we do actually use this within our our real HubSpot account. Now this is so useful, especially for when you're doing blog posts, when you want to publish tweets or a Facebook post or whatever have you about a different blog post that you have going on or different content that you want to promote. You can actually do that within HubSpot and you don't have to schedule it with an outside scheduler. This tool is also super useful for scheduling normal social media posts. You don't have to have it connected to some sort of content within HubSpot. It's also super helpful for monitoring, so you can monitor the different activity that's going on within your social media, so you can see if people have engaged with any of your posts, if they like it, if they comment, and you can actually engage with them right back through the HubSpot platform. So moving on to another huge tool that we're going to spend a lot of time talking about is the website tab. So within the website tab, you have 3 different options. You have website pages, landing pages, and blog. So these are all super important, useful features. So let's start with website pages first. So within the website tab, this is where you can create your static websites that will live within your domain. These are the pages that won't really be changing within your website, and they'll say static. So this includes your home page, your contact information page, the pages that explain your products or your services, and things like that. So these are the pages that remain the same. You don't really touch them. You build them once, you monitor them, and that's pretty much it. As you can see, HubSpot will organize all the pages right here for you to quickly see. You can also search for the pages. If you have a lot of pages, you can search for the pages within this little toolbar right here. You also have your landing pages. So opposite to your website pages, your landing pages are the pages that you're going to use for your actual inbound marketing campaigns. So these are the pages where people can go to fill out a form in order to get a downloadable content. These are the pages that your CTAs, which we'll talk about a little bit further on in this video, these are the pages that your CTAs will lead to. So this is where your downloadable content will exist. Your forms will exist on a landing page, and these will be tied to specific inbound marketing campaigns. So these are super useful and super important for all of your inbound marketing campaigns. Then moving on, you have your blog. So your blog is the content that you post on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And this is the content and the website pages that you're going to be using to attract people onto your website. So within each of these different tabs, there's a lot of different tools, a lot of different ways you can track everything, and just a lot of different things that you can do. So for the sake of this video not being 12 hours long, I'm just going to quickly run through the different things that we as a CyberClick team use on a day-to-day basis for our inbound marketing purposes. And likely this is the way that you'll also be using this for your own inbound marketing campaigns too. So website pages, this is super important. Again, like I said, these are the static pages on your website, but because they are the more static pages, once you've built them, they tend to be built and that's it. Again, super important, and it's very valuable to know how to create these pages, but you won't really be using this tool on a day-to-day basis the way that you'll be using landing pages and blogs. So I'm going to talk a little bit more in depthly about those two. So moving on to landing pages, again, like I said, these are super important for your inbound marketing campaigns. So I'm going to show you how you can create a landing page. So you can go over here, press this button, press landing page, and then you're going to be taken to HubSpot's editor. So just like with the emails, HubSpot will provide you with different templates that you can use for your landing pages. If you've already created the design of your website, you'll already see your designed templates within here as well. But since this is a test account, we're just going to run with one of HubSpot's templates. So for the purpose of this tutorial, let's say that we have an ebook all about HubSpot, for example, that we want people who are interested in HubSpot to download. So we are going to go ahead and create a landing page so that people can download that ebook. So we'll click on this. We'll give it an internal page name. So this won't be viewable to people outside of your company that are looking at the website. This is only so that HubSpot can organize the page within their tool. So we're just going to call this test video, create the page, and then now you are being taken to the drag and drop editor. So this is super simple. It works just the same way as the email tool works. It's just drag and drop, but you also do have some options to edit it even further beyond just dragging and dropping. So as you can see, we can click on things, we can edit them, super easy to fix the copy. Now, if you prefer to work using source code, you can actually do that as well. If you go over here to advanced, you can click source code here, and you can actually edit everything using the source code. So if you prefer to work this way, that is an option in HubSpot. So this is pretty self-explanatory, so I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here, but we can run through the different options that are available within this. So you can add, if you have a video that you want to add to your landing page, you can do that. You can add links to your social accounts. And if you already have your social set up in HubSpot, then it'll automatically set up those links for you. You have your call to action in your form. You can add images, text, headers, which is super important for SEO purposes, different buttons, and so on. So the most important part within the landing page will be your form. So this is huge within the landing page section. So in order to edit your form, or at least just to check on it, you want to click the form within the landing page, and it's going to take you to this editor. So from here, you can give your form a title. So this is not the internal title of your form. This is actually what people will see when they're on the website. So we can say something like, fill out this form to get your free ebook today, just as an example. Then you also want to choose the form that will show up for users to fill out. So we'll run through the form tool a little bit later within this video, but ideally you've already created your form within the platform, and now you can just quickly pull it up. If you haven't, you can go ahead and create a new form on the spot. If you press this button, it's just going to take you straight to the form building tool. So I recommend you just go ahead and build your form before you want to do your landing page. That way you can just quickly pull it up, and it'll be a much easier workflow. So we're just going to go ahead and choose a form that we have here. We'll do this test form right there, and we'll move on. So then it's going to ask you a few questions. So what will a visitor see after submitting your form? So you have two options. You can create a thank you landing page. So if you do that, you will have to create another landing page and then link them. So if you click that option, HubSpot will ask you what page do you want to link it to. So we'll just do that one. Or you can do a display an inline thank you message. So if you do this, you will see, you won't be, once the user fills out the form, you won't be redirected to a new landing page. They'll just see a thank you page, they'll just see a thank you message pop up where your form used to be. So for inbound marketing, I recommend that you do, that you redirect your users to a new landing page after they fill out the form. Depends on what the content is and the context of the campaign. But I recommend you go ahead and do this because on that thank you page, you can go ahead and you can actually link to content that might be relevant to the downloadable content that they just downloaded from this landing page. You can put new content on the thank you page that will keep the users on your website. Or if you have a YouTube channel, for example, or you have blog posts that you think the user would be interested in, or another downloadable content that's relevant to this downloadable content, the original one that they're downloading, you can also link to that on the thank you page. Overall, it just looks a bit more professional, and it shows that you have made the extra effort. And that it's not just a one and done transactional deal, that actually you want to keep offering them content that you think that they'd be interested in. So that's up to you. HubSpot also gives you the option to add this form to a workflow. So what this means is that if somebody fills out this form, it will trigger an action on your workflow, which will trigger your marketing automation process, which is what we talked about a little bit in our email section. So if this form or this downloadable content is connected to a specific workflow, then you want to press yes on this. Once you do that, HubSpot will ask you, okay, which workflow do you want to connect it to? So then from there, you can just choose a workflow. So HubSpot will also give you an option if you want to send a follow-up email after the user has completed the form. This is actually something you can also do within the workflow, and that's typically how we do it. So we do create a follow-up email for our downloadable content, but we actually link it in our workflow and not necessarily in the form itself. But this is something that you can do within the form, and that's totally fine. And if you do press this button, it'll work the same way as it did up here, and you can just choose the follow-up email that you've already created. So once you've chosen all your options, just press Apply Changes. It's going to save everything for you, and then you still have a few more things that you need to do before you can publish. So let's go to Settings. So these are a bit more internal and also SEO-based settings that you need to configure. So this is the page name. So it will not be seen by anybody outside of HubSpot. This is just for organizational purposes within HubSpot, and you can change the name to be whatever it says. This is the page title, which is important because this can be seen by other users. So we want to give it a good name, something that's SEO optimized and preferably using the keywords that the content is based on. For the purpose of this video, we're just going to go ahead and call it Test Landing Page, but again, you do actually want to spend a little bit, not a lot because not many people will see it, but you want to spend a little bit of time making sure that it's a good name. From there, HubSpot will also give you the option to choose a page language. This is really only important if you're going to have content in multiple languages, like we do at CyberClick. If your website will only stay on one page, I recommend to not touch this button, because if you do, you're going to be given an option to specify the language, which will actually show up in your URL, which I'll show you what it looks like. So let's say we're going to do English. As you can see here, that actually adds this little EN tab within your URL. So if you're only going to stick with one language, don't really worry about having to touch that button. Oops. So then we don't want to copy the link. We actually want to edit the link. And again, this is important for SEO purposes. So here's where you can edit the slug of your specific landing page. Here's where you can write the meta description, so you can describe quickly what the landing page is going to be about. And then, like I showed you in the email section of this video, you want to be sure that you link this landing page to a campaign. This will be really important for when you have all the different assets of this specific inbound marketing campaign. It'll be easier for you to see everything all in one consolidated spot. So I recommend that you do choose a proper campaign for it. We'll just go with that one. And then if you added an image onto your landing page, you can choose your featured image here. Moving on, and then you can go to Optimize. So this is where HubSpot will help you out a little bit for SEO purposes, and they'll tell you if there's any problems with your with any of your SEO within your landing page. As you can see, we have plenty right now, but that's because we're not trying to actually do a good job right now. We're just trying to run through everything. But this is super useful for when you are actually building out your campaign. And then next you have schedule. So you have the option of either just going ahead and publishing your landing page right away, or you can also schedule it for later. So if you've already built out all of your assets for your campaign ahead of time, you can go ahead and you can schedule this landing page to publish at a certain time, and that way you don't have to worry about manually doing it. From there, once you have all that information, you can you can go ahead and you can publish. HubSpot's not going to let us publish right now because we don't have a featured image. But if you have everything that HubSpot needs, they'll go ahead and let you publish, and then you'll be done. Super simple, super easy to use. And again, if you've used any type of marketing platform before, this will feel pretty intuitive to you. So next, let's talk a little bit more about blog pages. Now, this is also a super, super important aspect within your inbound marketing campaigns. And again, blogs are how you're actually going to attract people to your website in the first place. So think of blogs as kind of your first line of getting people to come to your website. So once you click the blog tab, you have a few different features. If your website has multiple blogs, you can actually filter between all the different blogs that you have. Since this is our test account, we only have one. But actually on our real website, we have multiple blogs because we have blogs in different languages. So this is a great way that you can organize the different content that you have. As you can see, you can filter all your blogs by different authors, so depending on who wrote everything, different campaigns if you've already associated your blog with a campaign, and different tags that you gave your blog. So within the blog post, you can tag your blogs for different content. Super important within this tool is the blog analytics. So you can actually track the success of your blog post, and you can see how how much traffic you're getting, how many people are visiting your blogs. Again, as you can see, we have nothing here because this is our test account. But normally what you would see here would be a graph, and then you would also see your blogs organized by views, entrances, the time that the average time that people have spent within that one page, the bounce rate, the publish date, and then who wrote that blog. So it's a super helpful for comparing your different content, seeing it at a bird's eye view. And yeah. Another important thing that I haven't mentioned yet, and this is applicable to what we've been talking about with the landing pages and the emails as well, is that you can also edit each of these options that you see here directly. So if you just click on any one of the options, so we'll click on this one, it's going to take you to a page that will show you all of the high-level information about that certain content. And again, this looks different for the landing pages and for the emails, but this is an option as well within both of those features as well, and many others within the Marketing Hub. But specific for blog posts, it's going to show you how many views, how many people have looked at your blog, how many people have filled out a form, if that's something that's applicable. And then based off that, how many new contacts have filled out a form, the bounce rate, the time that they've taken to look at the page. And then also what you'll see here is you'll see a graph showing you the day-to-day visits of your content. So it shows you all this important information here, and it filters it by this month only, but you can choose to filter it by however long or however little you want. So I wanted to show you guys this because this is super important, and you will be using this feature a lot, especially within your blog posts, because you want to be tracking the performance of how your blogs are doing. But I actually want to show you how to create a blog post because this is actually something that you will be doing day to day. You always have to create a new blog post from scratch. So you're going to go up here, you're going to click blog post, and it's going to ask you which style you want to do. I always just do the inline edit mode. But if you want to do the draft mode, you can, and you can upload your document from Google Docs. At CyberClick, what we do is we write our blog post within Google Docs, and then we just copy and paste it. But again, you can upload it if that works better for you. So once you enter the editor, you're going to see a few different things. Now, it's really important to point out here that your specific blog will actually be designed to your website. So the way that your website is designed is how your blog will also look. If you've been on our website before, you know that this looks nothing like what our blog looks like. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're just going to use HubSpot's preloaded template. So you have a lot of different options and a lot of different things that you need to be mindful to when you are creating your blog post. So it looks like here within this template, the space to actually fill in the content for your blog is right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click edit. And now this is going to allow us to directly type. So you can directly type your blog post right into the editor. That's totally fine. I don't really recommend it. What we actually do at CyberClick is we write all of our content in Google Docs, and then we copy and paste. So I prepared some just dummy text for us to use to show you what this would look like. And I've already gone ahead and put in the different headers that we're going to use. So this is heading 1, H1, so we're not going to use this one, but we're going to go ahead and copy from here. And I'll just copy this much. And I'll go ahead and paste it into the editor. And as you can see, HubSpot is smart enough to know that we have used different H1s, or H2 here rather, and H3s, and it actually will keep that information when you copy and paste. So super useful, super easy. And this is why I recommend going ahead and writing your content on whatever writing tool you typically use, because HubSpot is smart enough to actually retain the information from that tool. So we already have that. We already have our H2 and our H1. Another really important thing that all inbound blogs should have is a CTA. So I'm going to show you how you can add a CTA. As you can see here, you have a lot of editing options. A lot of these are typical and easy to use. But if you look here into this insert button, you actually have a few different tools that you can use to organize your blog. There's way too many tools to go into today, but a really important one that we use day to day at CyberClick is this call to action tool. So this is where all of your different CTAs live within the platform. So all the CTAs that you've created ahead of time, you can quickly access them here in order to put them within your blog post. So we're going to go ahead and just choose one. Typically what we would use in the middle of a blog post would be like a text CTA, but since it doesn't look like we have one here, we'll just go ahead and do this one just for fun, just to show you what it looks like. And once it's in your blog editor, you can actually edit it even further. So you can choose to center it or match it to however your website layout looks like. So if you haven't already put in your H2, H3, H4s into your content, that's no problem. You can do that within HubSpot as well. So I'll show you what that looks like here. So let's go to this sentence over here. You want to press enter to separate it. We can highlight it. Go up to paragraph and go to H4. And it's simple as that. So this is super important for your SEO purposes and for organizing your content. As you can see, the editor is super similar to any other editing tool. You also have some different options here. But then really specific to HubSpot are these next few pages, specifically settings. This is super, super key for your blog post. So this blog title is the title that search engines will show when somebody sees your blog post within Google or Bing or whatever search engine your content is showing up on. So you want to be really, really mindful when you are choosing a title for your blog post. Here, we're just going to call this the test video blog post. Obviously not very mindful. But you want to be sure that you are using the appropriate keywords for your content to help your content be found. Here's where you can also enter your URL and you can edit it. HubSpot will automatically populate the title of your blog post into the slug, which is super easy. But if you want to change it, you can do that, no problem. Just erase it and type from there. But we want to keep it the same. Then you can go on to choose the author. So you can preload authors into HubSpot, or you can add an author right here. So depending on the different team members you have, or this is super useful if you have guest bloggers for like link building purposes or things like that, you can go ahead and add them in there. Super easy. We'll just go ahead and choose this one. Then if you want to organize your content based on the different topics you're talking about, you can do that here. We will go ahead and do HubSpot, but you can choose multiple if you want, or just one or none. This is more so for organizing your website for users. So if they're super interested in certain content that you've written about, they can go ahead and go to that tab, click on it, and see other content that you've written that you've tagged for. So another super important section is your meta description. This is also a key, super important section within this blog editor. Similar to the blog title, this is what someone will see when your content shows up on a search engine. So you want to make sure that you are using the appropriate keywords, that you are describing your content so people know what to expect before they click into your blog post, and that you stay within the amount of limits so that it actually shows up correctly within the search engines. And then we have that handy dandy campaign tool that we've talked about a few times before. I've said it before, but this is a great way to organize your content, and I will talk a little bit deeper about campaigns a little bit further on in this video. So here's where you can add the image, the featured image of your blog post. This is important for when you publish your content. There'll be an image associated with it, and this is where you can add that. If you already included images within the content of your blog, so within that white area that we were editing, then an image will go ahead and populate right up here. So then you don't have to manually add one in. But if you do want to manually add one in, you can also do that here too. So optimize, this works the same way as it did in the landing page section. Just HubSpot's just going to look out for you and make sure that everything looks good. And if it doesn't, they're going to let you know. And then finally, you're going to go to schedule. Again, this works similar to how it does on the landing page. And another important caveat is if you have already linked your social media channels to your HubSpot, then right here in this section, in this little blank section that it's blank here, you'll actually see an area where you can choose to publish a social media post promoting this specific blog post. So say that you want to schedule your blog post to come out tomorrow. Right here, you'll see an area where you can create a social media post promoting that blog. So HubSpot will go ahead and they will automatically create a social media post based on your meta description, but you can actually edit this to be a more natural caption for your content, or for your social media post rather, and it will already automatically link to that blog post. And typically what happens is if your content is going to be published at 10:30, then the social media post will go up at 10:45. So you have a 15-minute window between the content going live and the content being published on your social media. So once you've done all that, you can go ahead and press schedule or publish if you're not going to schedule it, and your blog will be out there for the world to see. All right, let's continue running through some more essential inbound tools. So if you go over here to File and Templates, you'll see you have a few different tools here. Like I said earlier in the video, I'm only going to highlight the tools that we use on a more day-to-day basis within the Marketing Hub. I do want to point out here, though, that design tools and HubDB are super important. HubDB has to do with data, and the design tools is actually where you'll be able to create the different templates for your own website as far as design goes. But this tool is so massive and so in depth that this could be its own video by itself. And again, it's not really something that you're going to be using day to day. Files, however, is something that you will be using, especially when you have a lot of content and when you're uploading a lot of content. So all the different assets that you have for your different campaigns. So this could range from images that will live within your blog post, the actual PDFs of your ebooks or your white papers, videos, any type of asset like that, you can actually upload within this section. So think of this as almost the Google Drive or the Dropbox type of organizer within HubSpot. So it's super useful, super important, and it works pretty intuitively. So you can organize everything by folders. Also, though, if you just upload a file, it will just upload like this, but you can choose to organize it in folders as well. Again, really, really easy to use. So next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about these two super, super important tools. If you remember me earlier talking about CTAs, this is actually where you can build the certain CTAs that you want to use within your content. So as you can see here, this is where you can look at the CTAs that you've already created. And the great thing about these CTAs is you have a lot of options when it comes to different CTAs that you want to make. So you can create buttons that look like this. You can create images that have pictures of what your content is going to look like. And you can also create a text CTA. So these are CTAs that don't actually have an image or a button associated with it. It's actually just text. So I'll show you how to make that CTA right now. So we're going to go ahead and click Create CTA. So HubSpot will automatically give you a button style CTA, and you have a few different options on the different styles that you want your button to look like. So you can go ahead and choose that. Or if you want your CTA to be connected to an image that you've already created, you can go ahead and upload that image. Or since we've already mentioned the Files tool, if you already uploaded the image of that CTA within your files in HubSpot, you can actually click Browse Images here, and it will populate all the different images that you have within your files in HubSpot. So that's why that Files tool is super useful and super important. But for the purpose of this CTA, we actually want to do a text CTA. So how do you do that? You go down here to where it says Button Style, and you want to click Link No Style. So then you can go ahead here. You can edit everything here on what it is that you want to say. So we'll write test, and then HubSpot will show you what it looks like. You can edit the colors. And so HubSpot will show you that. You can make it bold, super basic stuff. Then you're going to go to next. Now this is the behind the scenes stuff of your CTA. So you want to give your CTA an internal name. So this is not anything that will be seen by anyone other than those who use your HubSpot. So from the name, you can then go on and choose where the CTA is going to lead the user. So let's say that this is a CTA that is going to go into your blog post, and we want this CTA to bring the user to a landing page about one of our ebooks. Well, since it's one of our own landing pages, we can actually click this button here and say HubSpot page or blog post. And then HubSpot's going to know that we're actually trying to link to one of our own pages, and it's going to populate all of our different landing pages. So what it's showing us right now is it's actually showing us website pages and landing pages. But if you already know the internal name of your landing page, then you can go ahead and type it in here, and it's going to pop up. So we'll just choose this test one that we already have since we didn't publish any of our landing pages that we created today. So then HubSpot's going to give you the option here if you want to open the page in a new window. This really just depends on where you have your CTA and the purpose of your CTA. Then again, here we have the important campaign button. Remember, like I've been saying, you always want to link your assets to a campaign. This is going to be super, super helpful for you and super important in the future. So from there, you're just going to press save, and then you're going to have your new CTA. So now you can go ahead and add that CTA to your blog post, to your landing page, or to your website pages too. So the next thing we're going to talk about are forms. So forms is another major area within this platform, and something that we use a lot for a lot of our inbound campaigns and purposes. So as you can see here, it's the same. You can click on a form if you want to go ahead and edit it, or you can go up to the top and you can create a new form. So for the purpose of this, let's go ahead and create a form. So once you do this, you have two options. You can create a regular form. So a regular form is just a form that will be on a landing page or be somewhere in your website, and it'll just be static and it'll just sit there. Or you can create a pop-up form. So this is a form that will pop up when you enter onto a website. We'll just talk about a regular form, but they work pretty similarly. They just show up differently. So let's choose a regular form and we're going to press next. So once you come in here, you have a few different options. You can either create your form from scratch, or you can choose a template that HubSpot has already created. So these templates are just based off of different content pieces or reasons that you would have a form in the first place. So for example, if you want somebody to download an ebook, or if you have a support form, it's just basically HubSpot will populate different things that they think you would want to ask for these different reasons. For the purpose of this, let's just go ahead and do a blank template just so we can look at all the different options that HubSpot gives you. So here, the way that this area works is pretty similar to everything else. It's just drag and drop. So it's super easy to use, pretty customizable. So let's say we want to do a form for an ebook download. I know that's already a template, but for the purpose of this, let's just do that. So we definitely want to get the first name of somebody. We're going to probably want to get their last name too. The point of this is that we want to be able to create a lead. We're going to want to know the company name that they work for. So let's say that here. And maybe we're going to want to know some more information about them. So what we can do is we can actually create, if there's a form field that doesn't exist, we can actually create one. So if you go down here, you can do create new field. So this is what I was talking about when I say that this section is super customizable. So let's say that we already have a section for their first name. We have a section for their last name. We have their company name and their email. But let's say we want to know the position of the person who's downloading our content. This will help us know if they line up with our buyer persona or not. So let's go ahead and say that we want to add a single line text field. So this is going to pop up, and this is how you can create the new field. So this will already be static. This is just a way to organize the new field. This is another way to organize the field based off of what kind of information you're asking for. We're just going to keep it at contact. So from here, we can go ahead and we can give this new field a test. This is how you'll be able to find the field if you want to use it in any future forms. Let's go ahead and call it position. And then you can give a description for the field. So we're getting this message because we already have a field that's super similar to this, but for the purpose of this test, we're just going to go ahead and move along. So press next. So right here, HubSpot is just showing us what kind of field type this is, which we already chose when we chose that. This is just a quick option you can choose if it applies for you or not, and then you can go ahead and create your new field. So once you've created it, it has already been automatically added into your form. So you can go ahead and move it if you want. And let's say we want it to be right there. Also, if you want things to be next to each other, you could just do it like that. Super easy. And there you go. So then what if you want to make sure that everybody has to fill out a certain section like email does here? All you have to do is just click into that specific field and you can go ahead and edit everything here. So we want to say, make this field required. And we'll go ahead and do that for position 2. So next super helpful feature within forms, and again, there's so many, but for the sake of keeping this video short, I just want to highlight the really important ones. A super important section is the queued progressive field. So progressive fields are, if you have somebody that downloads a lot of your content, you don't want them to have to fill out the same form every single time. This just becomes tedious for them, and also it doesn't give you any new information. If they're just filling out the same information, you actually aren't learning anything new about them as a lead. So using these progressive fields, or also called smart forms, is a way to get more information about your lead. And that way you can understand them better and understand if they're a sales qualified lead or a marketing qualified lead. So this works just the same way as this top section does. You can go ahead and you can drag and drop information. So let's say now that we know that they're a little bit more comfortable with us, we're going to go ahead and ask them for their phone number. So what this means is that this will now replace a field up here. So that way they'll always ask for the name and the last name, and I believe the email as well. That way HubSpot can organize the contact within the system, because without this, it wouldn't know to be a smart form. But then it'll go ahead and it will replace these fields up here. From there, you can also choose to do a follow-up. You can definitely create your follow-up email in here. We do this using the workflow, which I'll run through in a bit, but this is an option here. Then you have different options for your form. So if somebody fills out a form, you can display the message in line like we talked about in the landing page, or you can redirect to another page. So this works just as it does in the landing page section that we talked about earlier. So this is where you can send the submissions to. So this email address is where whenever somebody fills out the form, the email address that you have in there will actually receive a notification from HubSpot letting you know that somebody has filled out a form on your website. And then this is where you can just choose the language. Again, this is super important for those of you who have international or multi-language websites. And then from here, you can go ahead and go to style and preview. So this is where you can just choose the specific styles of your form based on the design of your website. And then from there, you can see what it's going to look like on a tablet and how it would look on a phone. And you have a few different options. And you can also test it. So once you've done all that, you can go ahead and press publish, and now you have a new form that you can add into your landing pages or into your website pages. So depending on how many forms you have on your website, you can organize your forms into different folders. This is great if you have different forms according to different content, or if you have forms for different purposes. So you'll probably have a form for people who are new to your website, or maybe you'll have forms dedicated to your YouTube page or dedicated to downloadable content. However you organize your website, you can do it here too. You can also analyze, get a high-level view of the success of your forms. So this will let you know in the last 30 days how many people saw your forms and how many people actually filled out the forms after seeing them. Again, this is a test account, so the numbers here are a little bit skewed, but this just gives you an idea of how this section works. So if you go down, you can get an idea of the different numbers relative to how many people actually submitted. So it's super helpful and a great way to get another high-level view. Similar to blog posts, you can go ahead and you can click in to a form to see what it would look like and to actually get the data on it straight on. So again, 000 just because it's a test account, but this is again super helpful to know how your form is actually performing. So moving on to the final section, this area is more for the behind the scenes and the high level information about your specific campaigns that are going on. Calendar is exactly what it sounds like. It is just a calendar of all the different content that you have going on. So if you have any social media posts scheduled, you're going to go ahead and see this here. If you have any blog posts scheduled, you'll also see this in the calendar. And if you have any landing pages or any emails that are scheduled, you're going to see all of this here. So this is a great way to stay organized and know what's going on in your campaigns. You can also go to campaigns, which we have talked a lot about throughout this video. As you can probably tell, I'm a huge fan of this tool, and I really, really recommend using it because this is how you're going to actually organize all of the different activities that are going on within your within HubSpot. I mean, it organizes everything, and it's super helpful to get a high level view of everything that's going on within the platform. So for example, we already have a few test campaigns that have been created. We're just going to go ahead and click into this one right here. And what this going to show you is it's going to show you the overall performance of your campaign, and it's also going to organize everything that you have said is associated with this campaign. So for example, this one's just called Test Manon, but you could actually rename this campaign to be HubSpot ebook or something like that. And then all of the content and all of the assets that you've created for this specific campaign will be organized right here. So all the call to actions that you've made, the emails that you've created, the landing pages. What you don't see here too is you would actually see any blog posts that you tagged to this campaign, any workflows that you've tagged to this campaign, and any other major assets that give you a campaign option. Everything will show up here. And this is really great because you can, if you have a campaign and you're not exactly sure what you've associated with the campaign, you can go into here and you can actually click on the specific things and you can click into them and edit them directly. So it'll open it up in a new tab, and you can see everything that you've created for this campaign. So this is why it's such an important tool and such a helpful tool, because it's a great way to actually understand how your campaign is performing. Up here in this graph, you can also see how your campaign is performing. So what it's organizing it here is by the amount of contacts that you've created and the amount of contacts that you've influenced, but you can actually edit this to show sessions as well. So sessions is just represents the amount of traffic that your campaign has generated, and it'll be organized. So the next major tool we're going to talk about is SEO. So SEO is really useful. It does two different things for you. First, you have recommendations. So this will just be analyzing your technical and on-page SEO within your website. It'll just be showing you any recommendations that they think that you can make to improve your website. So you can just kind of run through this and see what it tells you. But the other really useful area is topics. Now this is super important with your when creating your content. So as you know, with inbound marketing, you have your pillar content and then you have the topic clusters. So here is where you can actually organize that type of content, and you can organize your website and your content a little bit better. You can now integrate this with Google Search Console, which is super useful. But actually, I'm going to just run through how you can create this the different topics within HubSpot. So let's actually start by looking at one of the clusters that we already have created. So we'll go ahead and click into marketing. So what you see here when you enter in is you have your content organized by your pillar content and your cluster topic. So your pillar page will live in the center. So whatever pillar page you have on your own website, you can go ahead and put right here. And you can actually attach the specific pillar page here. And then all the different blog posts or different content pieces you have that's related to that pillar page, you can go ahead and add it here. So once you've done all of that, HubSpot will actually let you know how this content is performing. So just the same way that it tracks your landing pages, it tracks your blog posts, it'll also track all of this and let you know how well you are performing for the specific content that you want to be ranking for and that you want to be associated with. So this is a really great way to organize all of the content that you have, especially for your pillar pages. It's super, super crucial. So we've gone through all of the most important tools within the marketing tab. Now what I want to talk about before we're done are the workflows, because the workflows is a major aspect within inbound marketing. As you know, a major technique within inbound marketing is marketing automation, and workflows is where you make that marketing automation piece actually happen. So we talked a little bit about workflows when we were filling out our form and doing our landing page earlier. I just want to show you what some workflows look like and how you can create one. It sounds really intimidating, but actually workflows are super, super simple to do. And you can have workflows that are 2-step total, or you can have workflows that have 50 different steps, and they can branch off and have 50 different paths that one user can take, just depending on all of the different triggers that they do. I'm just going to show you a very simple workflow for this video, but this is a really cool tool, and I really encourage you to explore it a lot because you can actually do a lot with it. So first, what we're going to go ahead and look at here is the same way with everything else. If you want to click into a workflow that already exists, you can go ahead and do that. You'll also be able to see how the workflow is performing and different things like that. You can also organize your workflows into folders and filter them using all the different filters we have up here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to create a workflow. So you're going to click the button up there. And now you have a few different options that you can do. So here's a few different templates that you can do. We're going to go ahead and create our workflow from scratch just so that we can highlight how easy it is to make. So like I said earlier, this is a really huge tool, and there's a lot of different ways that you can organize your workflows and that you can base your workflows off of. What we're going to do in this tutorial is we're going to do a contact-based workflow. So this just means that our workflow will be organized by our contacts. So we're going to start from scratch. This is just a preview of what it's going to look like. So what we see here is we see the beginning of a workflow. So we're going to set the enrollment trigger. So what this is HubSpot's asking us what type of action has to be done in order to activate the workflow. So since we've been going with the example of an ebook throughout this tutorial, we're going to stick with that. So we're going to say trigger the workflow when there's a form submission, and then HubSpot's going to pull up any of the forms that we've already created. So let's go with one of our test forms. So now what it's saying is trigger the workflow when contact has filled out form on any page. So what you can do here is you can actually make your form specific to a landing page. Now this just depends on where the actual form that you have created lives on. So again, if you're going to have some sort of ebook download or white paper download, likely you will have organized your forms a little bit better, but that's what it's asking. Let's see what we have. We'll do test. So this is the landing page that the form can be found on. And we're going to go ahead and apply that filter and save it. So now what HubSpot is saying is it's saying when somebody has filled out the form, test Manon on the landing page, test Manon. So now nothing's happening because we haven't filled it out yet. This is just the first step. So now we're going to go ahead and add a step in. So if you want to add a delay, you can do that. If you want to add a branch, so this is what I was saying, where you can have users that branch off depending on the different actions that they take. You can enroll them in a different workflow, or you can just go ahead and continue the workflow with the next step. It doesn't have to branch off or delay or anything like that. So let's go ahead and we want to send them an email once they've filled out the form. And let's say that when somebody on our website wants to download an ebook, let's say that the way that they get the ebook is through an email after they filled out the form. So in order for them to actually get the ebook, they need to be able to receive the email. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to do a follow-up email. We'll just press this one just for the sake of this tutorial. Again, if you were doing this on your website, this would be much better organized, and we will do that. So now what we are telling HubSpot is we want, when somebody fills out the form, test Manon on the landing page, test Manon, they will be sent the email HubSpot tutorial. Again, as you can see by the amount of options that we have, I mean, you really could just go absolutely crazy and create really in-depth forms that will really aid your marketing automation abilities. For the sake of time in this video, I'm not going to go through every single feature that Workflows has, because it would just be a 12-hour video at that point. So we're just going to go ahead and go through the specific settings of this example form. So what HubSpot is asking us here is if you want to set this workflow to only happen during specific hours or specific times. This really will depend on why you have the workflow. So for example, for our ebook example, we would do anytime, because we don't want to have, if somebody wants the ebook, they want it now. They don't want to have to wait until business hours. But this is actually really useful if you have to send out like a mass email, but you don't want it to look like that it's an automated email. It's super useful to only have this workflow be triggered during business hours, so it looks like it wasn't actually just an automatic email, but that it was personalized or done by hand. So it's super good. And then again, you have the magic campaigns button, which you can tell I love. We're going to go to unenrollment and suppression. Now, this is also a super important section. We have a lot of different options here. So what HubSpot is asking us right here is, when contacts enroll in this workflow, do you want to remove them from other workflows or not? Again, this just all depends on why you're making the workflow. So just read through all the different options that you have. They're fairly simple to understand, and they're pretty important. So just make sure you don't ignore this when you are creating your workflow. Going here, you can track the performance of your workflow. You're not going to see anything if you are creating the workflow from scratch, but if you're editing a workflow, this will be a good way to show you the performance and the success, as well as all the analytics attached to that specific workflow. And again, same here, this will just show you the history of everything that's been done to the workflow. So once you've created the workflow, HubSpot will ask you to review everything that you have that's been associated with this workflow and all the different options and settings that you have available to you. Something that I did not mention that I want to mention here is, in this section right up here with the pencil is where you can give your specific name to the workflow. So this is important for organizational purposes. So basically what HubSpot is asking you here then is, based off of the different criteria, if you already have contacts that meet that criteria, do you want to just automatically enroll them because they meet that criteria, or do you want to enroll them based off of a certain action or a certain trigger that they take? So again, this will just depend on the reason that you have your workflow. We're just going to say here, for the purpose of this, no, we only want to enroll them when they meet the certain trigger. And move on from there. So then again, you want to just review, make sure you got everything right, that all the settings are configured to the reason for your workflow. And then you can go ahead and turn your workflow on. So once you turn it on, it is active, it is live, and once people do your trigger criteria, you will go ahead and start seeing emails being sent and anything else that you've already configured. The specific way that you use these tools will just depend on the type of inbound marketing campaigns that you're going to do. This is just a way to show you how we use these tools and how they get utilized on a more day-to-day basis. You can really get in the weeds on every single one of these different tools and configure these to be super highly specific and highly detailed. And you might be doing that on a day-to-day basis, but this is more of just a beginner's guide to how you can use everything, especially when you're first just starting out. So I hope this video has helped you. I hope it has helped you a lot. I know we went over a lot of information today, so if you have any questions or any questions about tools within the Marketing Hub that we didn't cover, go ahead and leave us a comment in the section below and we'll try and get back to you.